Hello chess fans, this is Rick from Chess to Impress with coverage of round 2 of the 2018 Tata Steel tournament. I'll show you the results of round 2 and the standings after round 2 at the end of this video, but let's first look at the game between Bhaskaran Adhiban, a 25-year-old grandmaster from India, and the world champion Magnus Carlsen. Adhiban won the Challengers Group in 2016, and in 2017 he played in the Masters Group for the first time with great success. He finished in joint third place with 7.5 points out of 13, winning 4 games. Let's see how he got on against the world champion in this game, played on January 14th, 2018. Adhiban opened e4, Carlsen opened classical with e5, knight f3, knight c6, knight c3, knight f6, the 4 knights, and we go in the 4 knights Scotch, as we call it, with d4. E takes, knight takes, bishop b4, knight takes c6, b takes, and bishop d3. And it was Grandmaster Yassar in the live commentary who said this system was played first in the early 1900s, and still players and theoreticians have not been able to find any edge for white in his opening. Let's see how Adhiban played it. Carlsen played d5 here. Adhiban took, and Carlsen castled. He did not take back on d5, which was also a good move. Winning a pawn is dangerous for white. If he takes on c6, winning a pawn, then for example black can play bishop g4, hitting the queen, and after f3 an intermediate move, rook e8 check, and white is going to lose his castling rights. He has to play with the king. It has been played before, but it's a dangerous winning of a pawn by white. Adhiban did not want to go for this, and he castled, after which Carlsen took back the pawn on d5. Bishop g5, c6, and queen f3. As Grandmaster van Kampen explained in the live broadcast, this system was made popular by the Russian former World Championship candidate Alexander Morozevich. White's idea is to take twice on f6, take with the bishop, and if the queen takes back he's going to take to ruin black's pawn structure, as we'll see in this game. Bishop d6 was played by Carlsen, rook ae1, rook b8 hitting the pawn on b2, so white played b3, Carlsen played a5, h3, h6, and now Adhiban thought it was time to take twice on f6. Bishop takes, queen takes, and g takes. Black's pawn structure on the king side is now shattered. That is not a big problem. This position is about equal, and it was Carlsen who said in his interview after the game that actually white might have a slight edge here. Knight e2. This knight is on its way to the very nice f5 square. Adhiban has chosen a very safe system for this game. It looks like he was happy with the draw before the game started. And who can blame him playing against the world champion? c5 from Carlsen. The knight continues its journey on the way to f5. Rook d8, there comes knight f5, and you can take on f5 with the bishop, and then you get an endgame with opposite colored bishops, but Carlsen did not want to go for that. He played his bishop back to f8. Van Kampen showed a possible plan here that Morozevich had played before, which is a rook lift to e3 and then to g3 to get some pressure on the king side. Adhiban did not go for this. He played knight e7 check. The knight was taken. Rook takes and bishop e6, boxing in the rook, but white does not have to be worried that his rook gets trapped. He can always escape to c7 or a7 if he gets attacked by the king. Rook d1 was played by Adhiban, and here king f8 was expected by the Grandmaster Sarah and Van Kampen in the live broadcast, but Carlsen played c4. And you have to be careful, you cannot just take that pawn. Let's have a look at the variation. B takes c4 would be a big blunder, because of d takes c4, and if you then go back to e2 to protect your rook, then the rook has taken anyway, bishop takes, and then rook b1 straight away is less strong, because then white can still protect that bishop. Of course the bishop cannot play, it's pinned, but here white can still play rook e8 check, king g7, and protect the bishop with rook d8. But black has a much stronger move after. Let's look at the variation again. So we had c4. If we now blunder with b takes c4, d takes, bishop e2, rook takes, bishop takes, and then instead of rook b1 straight away, we first play king f8, kicking the rook. Rook a7 for example, and then rook b1 wins the bishop. So after c4, Adhiban cannot take, and he saw that of course. He played his bishop back to e2. And here comes another nice move from the world champion, a4. And I'm quoting Grandmaster van Kampen here. Magnus always tries to create play. He takes calculated risks. This is something very admirable about Carlsen. It's a pawn sacrifice. B takes a4 and bishop f5 from Carlsen, attacking the c2 pawn. And this very dull game has suddenly sprung to life. Here the best move for white is to play c2 c3. They were looking at it in the live broadcast and they thought Carlsen would then play d4, bishop takes c4, d takes c3, but white can hold this. It looks dangerous for him, but there's a way out. According to the engine, rook takes d8 check is the best way to play it. Rook takes back and then rush back with the other rook to e1 to control the c-pawn. c2, and now black is threatening rook d1, which would win for him. But white has bishop b3, nice move, and the c-pawn is under control. So all this after bishop f5 and then the best move c3. But Adhiban didn't see it and he played a worse move. He played bishop f3. d4 from Carlsen and a5 from Adhiban. Yes, of course Adhiban had seen that those two pawns are very dangerous, but he has his own dreams. He wants to run up the board with his a-pawn, and that's very difficult to stop for black, also because the bishop is controlling the promotion square. So it's a very tense position. Carlsen took on c2, which makes his pawns even stronger. Rook c1, rook b1 to swap a pair of rooks, rook takes, bishop takes, and rook c7. Attacking the c-pawn, so c3 was played, and bishop d1 to stop the c-pawn advancing further. Now, how does black make progress here? Carlsen finds the best way to play, showing off his wonderful endgame technique. He first played rook a8, which is the strongest move. Rook c5, defending the pawn. Carlsen took the other a-pawn, bishop takes a2, bishop c2, and bishop back to e6. And we see in a minute why Carlsen played that move. King f1, bringing his king closer, and Van Kampen, Grandmaster Van Kampen in the studio said, it's very close here. If white can bring his king to contain the pawns, it's a draw. But Carlsen had found the only winning move, and that's why he played his bishop to e6, because here the only winning move is rook c8. And that rook is protected by the bishop. White now has to exchange the rooks. He has no good square for his rook. For example, rook b5, bishop c4 check with a bishop fork wins straight away. So he took, after rook c8, he took on c8, bishop takes, and he played king e2. Let's look at another move. Bishop d3 looks very logical here, but actually it loses on the spot. Very instructive move. Bishop a6 wins here, because if you take that bishop, then the c-pawn is unstoppable. And if you don't take the bishop but play king e2, then we have c2 as well. And the bishop is overworked. Very nice move, c2, king d2, bishop takes d3, and black wins. So king e2 was played by Adhiban, but then bishop a6 came as well. And if you now interpose the bishop, then we have c2 again. And if you play king d1, then what black is going to do, he's going to bring his king into the game, and he's going to play his king all the way over the dark squares to the b2 square, and this wins also for black. There's no way out. After bishop a6, Adhiban played his last move, king f3. Carlsen pulled a few faces because this is not a good move, and then quickly played d3, and Adhiban resigned, and you can see the handshake there in the bottom left of the corner. Black wins here. If you play the attack bishop away, there's simply c2, and this pawn is queening. Great game from Carlsen, bringing a dull position to life, and as he said in his interview afterwards, Adhiban collapsed quite quickly. The results of round 2, we saw Adhiban against Carlsen. Anish Giri won for the second day running. He defeated former world champion Vladimir Kramnik. Karyakin and Anand, the two most recent challengers for the world title, made a draw. Caruana and Jones drew. Huyefan lost again for the second time against Shahryar Mamedyarov. Wijk and Peter Svidler played the longest game of the round, 124 moves, but at the end there were only 2 kings left on the board. It was a draw. Matlakov and So also drew. It's early days, but here are the standings after round 2. Anish Giri on his own with 2 out of 2, followed by 3 players who are half a point behind: Carlsen, Anand and Mamedyarov. At the bottom, poor Huyefan, she still has to get on the scoreboard. Hope you enjoyed the coverage of round 2. Round 3 will be played on Monday, January 15th, and I will be here after the round to tell you what happened. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe to the Chess to Impress channel. Please leave a comment, and if you liked the video, it would be great if you could share it on social media. You also may want to check out my Chess to Progress channel. The link is in the description box. This is Rick for Chess to Impress. Thank you for watching.